What is up, ninjas? My name is Sam World, and I'm a huge believer that making music should be about having fun, not about being frustrated and questioning everything. So with the Deceiver Volume 5 pack that we're going to be looking at today, my goal is to help you guys out when it comes to giving you guys access to, first off, pre-interwork sounds, as most of these sounds are going to be created based on tracks that charted on the Beatports, is doing good on Spotify, and also from live sets that you can see on YouTube from John Summit, Vintage Culture, West End, just to name a few that we've checked out. This time around, the 5th installment of Deceiver will contain 200 plus Serum presets, and I say plus because I have one more sound design session to hit, 2.2 gigs of samples, and 5 construction kits based on some of your favorite artists out at the moment. The first thing we're going to look at is the bass presets. Now, the first one you're going to see is called BA 7th Chromatics. Now, like I said, most of these presets are going to be based on real tracks that charted. So this one's going to be an anti-up inspired sound for the break, which sounds like melodic techno. Okay. Now, of course, with all of my patches, as you guys know, please utilize the mod wheels. There's a lot of opportunities there for you guys to bring this to life. For example, we can use the mod to open the cutoff, but there's a lot more to do. First off, we have an unstable knob here, which some of you guys will recognize as Walker and Royce-ish, because the moment I do this, check it out. Okay, yeah, I don't need to do anything. That mod can actually be a bass. Next one we have is a BA analog roller, which is going to be somewhat of a basic patch, but with good taste. The next bass we have is Cave Studio, which is going to be a very standard sustained bass. I think this one's inspired by Pickle. The main thing is just how fat it sounds. So you do really need to have some very fat drums to go with this, but you guys can see how big it sounds. And then we go lower key. So you can hear that in low Cs as well, which is a big thing. You don't want to use patches that you can't do that. Let's do one more. One more. Next bass we have is inspired by Kyle Watson's Magic Carpet Ride, I think that's called. Just a message to him, I ain't getting on your carpet, Kyle. But this one's BA Dahmer Heartbeat. I had finished watching the Netflix show. Now, the interesting thing about this track is that there's a bit of width to the bass that he has. So again, I try to capture it by utilizing a hard left pan, a hard right, and obviously, you know, changing the phase on my basic shapes, which we have here to create this bass, which has a bit of width. But it's done in a way where we are trying to mitigate, again, not having a wide low end. So we have this sub saw here as the main layer down the center to allow you to use this patch and not run into mono compatibility issues. Now, the way it's going to sound is like this. Now, there's a couple of mods. Which turns that more into a lead, like Pax, which there's going to be recreation from them in this pack as well. I think this one adds like a dynamic EQ here, as you can see from, looks like envelope 2. So it activates envelope 2, and then we have sustain. So dynamic's very important. If you want more sustain bass, then pull that up. Here we have one called Giorgio Manley. So for this one, I'm going to need an ARP, as I did create a couple of like rolling bass loops for this pack. The reason is Max Styler charted on Beatport with on the compilation of John Summit's later Off the Grid. So I wanted to put in a couple of rolling basses. You're going to find a lot here, but hopefully we can make something cool. The next one we have is a bass called Jaded Being, which is going to be a very basic saw bass inspired, but I think there's this artist called Return of Jade. We can get rid of the mid-lows if needed, but I'd keep them. You know you need that backup. This guy just adds so much life. Much needed mid-lows on this. Okay, so the next one we have is called Layer It Up, but obviously Amor Mio is a Pacho patch, even though, you know, he used the same vocals as I did. It's just a joke. Change. So you can do cool like patterns like so. That's the idea. We can also have this. You always have to be very strategic on the notes you pick. From there is another patch in the pack, which is going to give you access to that sound called Voy en tu madre. Here's another roller, which is a little bit more melodic tech, but again, some of the tech house guys are going more melodic tech house. And you can also use it as a standard bass. There's a lot more basses to go through that I didn't show, so make sure to check them out. Now from there, we're going to reach the CH section. And there's only one that, well, actually two that I can show. All of them are going to be great. I can go through them really quick. Okay, there we go. Okay, utilizing, again, a lot of wavetables for this one that aren't saws or analog. Here you go. I think it's the Matt Sassari sound from, I forget. For me, house squares. This was my first try at recreating that massive Dolla sound. Obviously failed on it, but obviously it's not too bad. Okay, from there. And then there's this, like, for those that watch this video, this is between us. There's a sick wub. Okay, so that's going to be the Miracle Maker one, which took me a while to recreate, actually, like a couple of tries, but finally got it. You can bring in the low end if you want, but it's not going to sound the same. You need to cut that low end. You can make it warmer. You can change the wavetables. But it's never going to sound as good as the triangles getting distorted. So there's a lot to the patch. If you're the type of guy that buys presets to study them and learn how to make them yourself, it's a very neat patch to look at. Here's one called Pop Stars, which is just going to be more for like chords. I really like this one. It's probably going to be one of the hidden ones for the guys making melodic tech house. But it's one of my favorite ones from the pack. Well, let's add movement. Sounds like it's a phaser. Yeah, it's some EQ movements. You can see the EQ moving here. So that adds so much. And then the module looks like it's going to widen. Yeah, and so make sure, again, use the mods, go up in octaves, and explore the sounds because they sound different. You can even go super low. Nah. From here, we have a couple of ear candy ones, which are just going to be like effects. To create like effects. These are cool if you're trying to just find like little glitches and stuff. To put in your track. Here's an effect shot called Big Booty Latina from Mochakk. Again, this is going to be between us because if you're watching the video, a lot of people don't go into the effects of presets. However, we have Fat Pacho. For the glitchy tech guys with the ponytail vibes, I got you. This one's called Knock, which is Blow My Whistle, Hugo. The idea of it is when you have white noise, you have a filter. When you put the resonance high enough, it self-resonates, creating a frequency, which sounds very swaggish when done right. And you can also play it as a bass. Wait up, I got you. Or perk maker. Just actually really sexy. From there, guys, we're going to go into the knock section. I don't have as many as I did in Deceiver Volume 4, but I intend on adding some more today. Tomorrow, the pack's coming out, but I'm recording the video today, but it should be out by the time we're watching this. There's a couple in here which are interesting. The low-key Carnival is a good one. Sid actually told me that the Carnival de Paris, the track he had, he used a bass from the trumpet. So what I did is I grabbed the trumpet and just like pitched it hella down and then did some sound design to get it to sound like this. Which is going to be one of these bass lines. So if you ever wonder how to make these, now you know. Really hard to find in preset packs. A lot of times people will just use the bass loops people make, but this is how you do it and you can study it. Okay, but again, there's going to be a couple of knocks in there. I'm going to probably put a few more before... after, before the pack gets released. But from there, we're going to go to the section that I think is the best out of every Deceiver out on the market at the moment. And that is going to be the lead section, which very, very squelchy with the pro movement. Now, if you get rid of it, we have one called Acidos and El Monstro. This one's going to contain a lot of movement programmed in with, as you can see, the LFO off. The reason for the off is just so that it goes with the beat. As you can see, it'll start there and it stays here. So here we have a lead called Aggressive Sand. Now, these are going to be more inspired by Truth Lies and all the guys that utilize their kind of leads where when you hit it, there's these movements that occur. And the cool thing about these, you can go higher up. But you can also go to the C3 range as shots. There's also a whoop. So it's going to be one. Then we're going to have another one. Which is going to be the plucky lead. We just got to move it up. From there. The big room, so I would layer the back to 2013 in the Amsterdam layers one. Here we have one called Black Book Sauce, which is inspired by I forgot what. It was a remix and it was definitely a tough one to recreate. But essentially, I think Chris had a techno guy, young guy, make a remix of his track. And he had this very massive saw lead in the break. And it sounded like that. So it's just... This one's inspired by Michael Bibi, which is like a metal saw. It's created utilizing what we call a dub delay. To give this vibe. So again, you would put the delay higher up. Also added some mods for different, because this is a very Michael Bibi-ish sound. You can take the monolegato off if you want to play chords as well. Change the tone, but again, this one's inspired by Michael Bibi called Bobcat, or Bocat, I think is the name. Here's another one inspired by late Bocat. Barber fucked me up. I think I was in a live stream when someone requested this one. I think it's the square. Which is sort of bassy sounding, but it doesn't have low end. So the idea would be to use it like this with a bass below it. This was called Lead Brass Shots, inspired by Matt Sassari. So he has a very techno sound. Just needs a bit of reverb. But again, you can get rid of that dirtiness to get that lead, and then a blobby sound of lead. Again, one of the things about hearing some of these sounds from these guys is the dirtiness that some of these beats have. It might come from the processing or the patches they're using, but again, trying to emulate that is one of the hardest things, and I tried to put them in as many patches as I could, essentially giving character. Here's one inspired by Gene Farris, which pretty much the thing that draws you into this one is the tone. You can get rid of the vibe if you wanted to, or keep that really interesting sound. Here's a lead where I utilize essentially a brass shot layered with sauce to come together. So the idea would be something like... chick sauce. The standard one. You can build it up. Add movement. Getting the mod. Sounds very wide. Oh god, this one's great. Whoa, okay. We're not fucking around. Lead Disconnected by James Hype. I forget how the melody goes, but that's going to be inspired by that. Okay, there's a lot of leads in this pack, so I'm just going to go to some of the ones that people want to hear, which are the recreations. The first one we have is Creamed My Brass. Obviously C3 to C4 range. I forget the melodies, but a lot of people requested Cream style leads. They said if I put Cream leads in here, they would buy the pack. So there you go. There's a couple. There's a lot more in the pack though. Here's one called Lead Left to Right, which is the left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. You can switch the wave to get different vibes. Less distortion. Here's one called Lead Mommy Chill, which is from the Chris Lake Mommy track, which is Ranger Truco inspired. Just a very heavily analog sound, which is Walker and Royce. There's going to be a lot of recreations here for you guys to mess around with and whatnot. Here's the Pax It Up. Here's a lead called Lee's in My Royce, inspired by Walker and Royce. We can make it wide. We can be pro. We can be more pro. Okay, and then we can be more pro. And more pro. Okay, again, I made a drum and bass pack, so that's why I've been, I upped my sound design game with that. And I've been wanting to put it in some of the tech house stuff. All right, guys, those are going to be some of the leads. Again, there's going to be a lot more recreations for you guys to check out. So I'll leave those for you guys to check out, like the Mofo squares from the Clone track. Just looking here, Tony the Sour, Tony Romero, Vintage Culture in a Cave Drinking, which is a vintage one. Wade, lead from Higher in the Clouds. Where Do We Go? Weird to Ron from Ron Acosta. And then Soft, which I think it's a Sophie producer. I did want to show one because I'm curious about your opinion on this. So my Moog Mochakk has this really cool feature where I can have a bunch of different waves hitting every single time. It's called Lead Over the Top, but I took it up a notch by doing some crazy stuff. So when I hold this down, it's sort of like weird rhythms you can see, but I don't know if it works. You can see how one hits first and the other. On headphones, it's a little annoying, but when you hear it through monitors, it actually sounds really... Pluck, Rangers Gang from Rangers Truco's track. In the club, it's with Night Funk. Have you comment? Romero Raw Films. You know this sound too from Tony Romero. ODDMOb Strutter track had this like weird lead on top with a ring. If you guys, all right, guys, and those are gonna be some of the presets. Now, you guys know I'm super honest with my work, and I'm always trying to improve where I can. Samples is one of those that I always knew was sort of like not my strongest point as my preset, so I try to change that this time around. The effects section could have used more work, I'm not gonna lie, but hopefully you guys have other packs to supplement with. From here, let's look at some of the bass loops which we're gonna have. For instance, I'll put this one here with a LFO chain. This one needs a different drum loop because it's too funky for this. From there, Naki motifs. Lance. Ooh. The pack will also have drum loops, so I'm going to leave this loop here and utilize probably a top loop. It's going to be a couple to play around with. You're going to notice there's a difference between these and these in terms of naming. That's because I have a good friend by the name of Semenga that helps me out with these packs. And he created a lot of these top loops as well as some other construction kits in the pack. We'll use this one. From there, we're going to go to the kick section from the drums and bring in my favorite kick, which is the paw attack one, which is just a standard 909 processed. Let's bring in a vocal.
Boom, the bassline hits. Listen now.
Oh shoot.
I wanna know what makes you actually dance. Listen now.
Alright, so from here, the pack is also gonna contain like these popular effects loops, which you guys know. Glitches. So we can add those.
Listen now. I wanna know what makes you actually dance.
Okay, and then from there, I don't know, we can get crazy because we also have percussion loops.
Listen now. I wanna
We have percolation.
listen now. I wanna know what makes you actually listen now.
Okay, that's not working, but you get the idea. So we're gonna have percussion loops. Someone asked for a lot of Congo loops, so I added a couple. Again, most of my samples, I'm not gonna saturate the crap out of them like Mark Knight does for his or whoever does those. But for me, it's just I know that you guys are gonna process them further, so there's no reason to do that. So that's why some of them might not sound as loud. Which my shaker game, I'm not gonna lie, has improved a lot. Discovering all these techniques to create these. Really just improved it. It sounds like actual shakers now, not like a bunch of samples going off. We're also gonna have construction kits for the drums, which Semenga made. There's gonna be a total of 10, which are gonna sound like this. So if you're the type of guy that just wants decisions made, which there's nothing wrong with that, then you can just go with some of these. And they're gonna be scoped out so that you guys can use them in a track. And there's variation to them, obviously. Basic one here. Again, you can remove anything because you have access to all of these drums in stem format for you guys to utilize. So again, from there, we do have a sampled break section, which Semenga put for me, which you can use for your tracks. The way he explained it to me is that they're doing this a lot in the kind of tech house he makes where you can have something like this.
Listen now. I wanna know.
Or you could just layer up some of your drums with it.
Listen now.
For instance, here we can use the gate on this one.
Listen now.
The 16th roll up. So you're gonna have the basic 16. I tried adding some new flavored ones to utilize. But again, it seems like anytime I make super unique ones and I test them out in my tracks, they never seem to work. It's like the 16 roll is what you want. So you're gonna find some with effects on them. This one's cool. There we go. Short fills. That's inspired from a Mark Knight track. I think it's his new one called Daddy Sheet. We're gonna have drum fills, and again, we're gonna have music loops as well, just a couple. So So you can use these, for instance, E minor, right? So we can go up to F sharp G. Show me, baby. Synth loops, obviously the power in the pack is in the patches when it comes to this stuff. So again, there's going to be the MIDI extracted as well for these, which you're going to be able to find in the MIDI folder. After a bad email that I got, I did try and make an effort to get some of those in there. Finally, guys, the last section of the pack that I'm going to show you is the vocal section, which there's going to be this amount of vocals. I did try my best to put a bit of Spanish ones for you guys, and hopefully they get used. For instance, we have
Ay, mamacita. Baje la cintura, no pare, re, na.
okay.
Boom, and the bass line hits. Gonna move like this. Welcome to a new day. Your comfort zone where nothing ever changes.
Semenga did a lot of cool ones, which are very long and sort of like preacher-ish, where someone's just talking.
Listen now, I want to know what makes you actually dance. Come together.
Come together.
Este es el ritmo para la colombiana.
This one's so auto-tuned.
Asesina con el cuerpazo de una mamacita que baila rica así mami. No pare, re, ra, ra.
Este es el baile de los ravers.
You know she's dancing at the disco.
Hola, señor. Me amo, Mr. Pulpo. Now everybody better get up and listen.
Perreo, pa la perra, dale ma. Así. Así.
You think that making chicks is so
Mueve tu cuerpo a este ritmo. Dance to the roll of the bass. Siente el ritmo de la noche. Mueva el cuerpo.
Camera died, so I'm going to end the video here, but this is going to be Deceiver Volume 5. You can find it over at evilsounds.com. It's probably going to be the best pack out of the whole Deceiver series, so I hope you guys enjoy it. And as always, thank you guys so much for your support. This might be my last Deceiver. It doesn't mean I'm not going to make tech house packs. It's just that I want to niche it down even further and get into some of the more underground sort of tech house and start making packs for other synths as well. But we'll see. There might be a Deceiver Volume 6, but we'll see. Other than that, thank you guys so much for your support. Hopefully you enjoyed the sounds, and I'll catch you guys next time for another video. Take care, and thank you guys so much for the support over the years always, guys. Very blessed, and hopefully the videos make up for the support that you guys give me.